Veteran NBC sportscaster Bob Costas once again taking sides in a national controversy, this time over the Washington Redskins team name last night during halftime of the nationally televised Redskins-Cowboys football game. Here's part of that.
Think for a moment about the term Redskins and how it truly differs from all the others. Ask yourself what the equivalent would be if directed toward African Americans, Hispanics, Asians, or members of any other ethnic group. When considered that way, Redskins can't possibly honor a heritage or a noble character trait, nor can it possibly be considered a neutral term. It's an insult, a slur, no matter how benign the present-day intent.
Wow. Okay, what do you think about this? Leslie Marshall, syndicated radio talk show host, Fox News contributor. Jason Matera, author and a radio host on WABC in New York City. And Jim Gray is a veteran sportscaster himself and a Fox News contributor. Good day to all three of you. Just take, Jason, the last part of Costas' comment there. Is an insult, a slur, no matter how benign the present day intent. Was he right?
Well, I agree the term is offensive. Why would any sports team want to associate itself with Washington, D.C.? I mean, come on, look at all the destructive behavior that comes out of this town. Pick another area of the country. Look, listen, bottom line is those who are offended just happen to be white liberals in the media like Bob Costas. When the team's name changed from the Braves to the Redskins 8 decades ago, there were 4 Native Americans on the team, and the coach was also Native American. Oh, and when the Redskin emblem was created, it was designed by Native Americans at an Indian reservation in South Dakota. Clearly, they weren't offended by it as well. So it just is hyperventilating by white liberals, generally in academia and mostly in the media. Like
well, the owner, Dan Snyder, said that it was never a label, it was, and it continues to be a badge of honor. Leslie, are you offended?
Well, I am not a red girl. I am a white girl. I'm not a minority in this country. And I have to say, Jason, if we're going by numbers, then why don't we just have teams with the N-word and any other racial slur colored people? People of color in this country are the minority currently, at least until the year 2054, supposedly. The bottom line here is if a segment of our population, which many Native Americans have said they are offended by this term, it's something to look into.
That
and
wasn't
quite
the
frankly,
question,
Bob
Leslie.
Costas
the question was whether you are offended by it. Are you or not?
I'm offended by terms that have historical negative implications. Do I personally feel if somebody called me a Redskin offended? No. But because it offends a segment of our population, no matter how small, yes, I think it should be changed.
Here's the poll. Hang on 1 second, guys. Got a lot to get through here. Then I got to get Jim Gray, too, okay? University of Pennsylvania poll. Offensive, inoffensive. 90% say it is inoffensive. 9% say it is. Here's Lanny Davis, who helps represent the team on this controversy that was, well, it really caught fire 2 weeks ago when the president was asked about it during an AP interview. Here's Lanny Davis defending the Redskins.
Redskins fans by 95% don't want a name change. Native American tribal leaders in Virginia have spoken out and said, you know, we love the Redskins. The last poll of all Native Americans, the only one ever taken by the Annenberg Institute in 2004, had 9 out of 10 Native Americans not offended by the name.
And that's the poll he's referring to. That was taken some 9 years ago. Jim, the commissioner, Roger Goodell, said, I'm confident he's listening, referring to the team owner. I'm confident he feels strongly about the name, but also wants to do the right thing. Spoken like a lawyer, I bet. What happens here? Where does this go?
Well, I think they are listening, and that's what caused Dan Snyder to write the letter, and that's what caused the commissioner as recently as yesterday to comment on it again before the Cowboys and the Redskins played. You know, this issue isn't going away. It's been ongoing since 1992. I was part of the broadcast team of the 1992 Super Bowl that was on CBS, and there were people outside the Metrodome picketing that day when the Redskins beat the Buffalo Bills. Jack Kent Cooke, who was the owner at the time, just kind of stonewalled it, didn't address it. Paul Tagliabue basically issued a very benign and unemotional statement at that Super Bowl. So it keeps coming back, and now last night hitting a crescendo again with Bob Costas. There's going to be a big issue decided at the end of the week, the trademark issue, which is being decided in federal court. The lawsuit that has taken place is going to be a big setback if the Redskins lose, and it's going to put further pressure on them.
Costas makes the point that Braves and Chiefs and Warriors, that's okay, but Redskins is not. suggesting that Braves and Chiefs and Warriors, they're meant to honor Native Americans. And he made the point that colleges have changed. Stanford and Dartmouth, Miami of Ohio, the St. John's Redmen went to, what are they now? The Red Storm.
Red Storm.
Jim.
Red Storm.
Jim?
Yes, well, they have changed. A lot of them have changed, Bill. But when you say Braves, that does seem to me to instill pride. When you say Warriors, that instills pride. Redskins is offensive to people. There are those who are offended by it. The polls show that a lot of Native Americans are not, but if there is, as the president has said, some people who are offended by it, then it needs to be examined and looked at. You would not name that team the Redskins today. Times change and we with time. Okay. That would not be the chosen name if they were picking a team right now. If it had been the Washington Nationals baseball team, they would have not chosen the Redskins. That's just not how we operate in this day and age.
Why do you think Costas chose that broadcast on Sunday night to do this, to take that
Because
platform?
It's become such an issue. People like Peter King of Sports Illustrated, Mike Wise in the Washington Post, Christine Brennan in the USA Today said that they will not use the name and refer to it anymore, that they will call it the Washington Football Organization. So this thing is rising once again to a crescendo, and there's this court case as well. So I think that's why it came up last night.
Quickly, Jason, I know you're shaking your head no. I'll give you the last answer here. Where do you think this goes? What happens?
Well, those who are opposed to the Washington Redskins names are clearly on the fringe, as the polls you indicated demonstrate. You have 90% of Native Americans who say that they are not offended. And by the way, if the intent was to cast aspersions on Native Americans, it's an odd way to do so by naming a billion-dollar football franchise beloved by millions of people in the nation's capital. Strange way to cast aspersions on Native Americans.
Thanks to all three of you, Leslie Marshall, Jason Matera, and Jim Gray. Thanks, and we'll see. Bill. Jim, you know, I mean, we're listening carefully to what you say at the end of the week, and we'll see whether or not that moves then. Thanks. 20 till the hour, Martha.